Hello everyone, it's Origami. Welcome back to What If Naruto Was Experimented On. This will be part 2 of this series. Please make sure to like and subscribe. Here is the summary. Naruto was fostered by Orochimaru on the 5th day of his birth. Orochimaru started to experiment on him at a young age. What happens when Naruto gets older and bloodlines start to appear? Let's get started. Chapter 4. Orochimaru had been in his study reading up on the pathogens that he created for Naruto. It has been 4 months since Orochimaru had the conversation with the head ninja. During this time he had injected Naruto with the 2 newly created pathogens. Orochimaru saw that his window of injecting Naruto with any more bloodlines was quickly closing. Naruto's body had a very bad reaction to the 2 new injections. His body started to convulse and he almost lost Naruto. Orochimaru was quite disgusted with himself seeing as he raised this boy and he has caused more pain than anyone else. Naruto, now 3 years old, was lucky that the Kyuubi was sealed inside of him or else the pathogen would have surely ended his life. As he mulled over what had occurred he saw the 2 almost 3-year-olds stumble into his study. "2-san, look at what I can do." Orochimaru with curiosity evident on his face watched the boy. Naruto dropped the kunai on the floor creating a thud on contact. Orochi was not impressed but let the boy continue his act. Sure enough, Naruto pointed his finger at the kunai. Orochi's eyes went wide as he saw Naruto release a chakra string and connect it to the kunai. Naruto with little to no difficulty lifted the kunai up and caught it in his hand. Orochimaru's eyes went wide. Naruto had gained many side effects from the pathogens. Naruto grew about 6 inches during this time. His mind was able to process to things at a rate that should be impossible for a child his age. His vocabulary, with the help of Orochimaru, is astonishing. Orochi could see that Naruto had great command of his chakra. Naruto could be a huge threat in the immediate future. Orochimaru could tell that he would be great especially if he could effectively use the chakra strings. He pulled out a little action figure toy and gave it to the young boy. Orochimaru said, "That's amazing, Naruto-kun. Can you make Mr. Leaf move without touching him?" It took a few moments for Naruto to understand. His blue eyes lit up. This was a test of his abilities. Orochimaru had given Naruto different types of tests like the alphabet and numbers. Whenever he did well on it they would go train and afterwards either go to the park and or Ichiraku's. Orochi saw Naruto's eyes turn a slightly darker cover. The boy saw the Mr. Leaf toy on the floor. To Naruto, it was as if the toy was edging him on. It was mocking him and Naruto did not want to be mocked. He lifted his hand up. He concentrated his thoughts onto the figure as if it was the only thing there. With a slight grunt, not 1, not 2 but 5 chakra strings came out of Naruto's little hands. Orochi watched in fascination as Naruto's little fingers were able to conjure up these chakra strings. At this point he didn't care if Naruto could make the toy dance. Just the mere fact he could make 5 chakra strings at the age of 2 is simply unbelievable. Naruto made it even more unbelievable when he used his control over the figure to make it dance. "I did it too, San. I was able to make Mr. Leaf dance." Orochimaru could hear the boy's enthusiasm along with pride and satisfaction in his voice. It was good to see the boy was so proud of what he had done. He smiled as he pet the boy's head. He said, "Well done, Naruto-kun. I'm so proud of you. How about I give you a treat? We're going to go outside in the backyard. Since today is a training day for Anko, I'll bring you with us so you can learn about the elements." Naruto had the look of confusion. He didn't know what the elements were fully, but anytime he was able to learn something, he would gladly do it. Naruto nodded with enthusiasm. Naruto wanted to see his friend Anko. Orochimaru took Anko as an official apprentice last year, but she has been around him for about 3 years since he came to the academy. She comes regularly and helps take care of Naruto. Orochimaru said, "Okay, Naruto-kun, I'll send Orenji to go get her." A few minutes passed until Anko got to Orochimaru's backyard. She was about 4 feet 9 inches tall. She has brownish amber pupil-less eyes. Her hair is light purple that went down to her neck. She had her mother's necklace around her neck. She saw her sensei teaching Naruto about the elements. Now, Naruto, this is called katan. Katan is the ability to use fire. Naruto nodded as he saw Orochimaru use a fire jutsu. It was a small fire, but Naruto was fascinated by the wavering flames of fire. He wanted to touch the fire to feel its warmth. Orochimaru slapped Naruto's hand away as Naruto's hand was a little too close to the fire. Naruto, the fire is very hot, you can burn yourself. Orochimaru scolded the boy. It wasn't the first time Naruto did something wrong and was scolded by it. He learned to not cry about it, as all the cry would do is make matters a lot worse. Anko decided to let her presence be known. Good morning, sensei and Naruto-kun. She sat down right next to Naruto and ruffled his head as she watched her sensei work. Orochi smirked slightly as the fire flickered. He said, "Good morning, Anko-chan. I was just teaching Naruto here the basic elemental wheel. Now Naruto, the element that beats fire is what?" Naruto grew a thinking look on his face. Anko whispered something into his ear. He grew a big smile on his face. He said with excitement, "Suiton?" Orochimaru replied, "That's correct, Naruto," even though Ms. Mitarashi did help answer the question. It takes much more ability to create the water than to manipulate what is already available and expel it from their mouths. Anko merely pouted as she huffed. Orochi did one hand sign and said, "Suiton, Ishui." Water style, water current, he drowned out the fire with water. The fire became smoke as the water moved all around. Orochi said, "Okay, Naruto, since Anko wants to help, what is weak against?" Once again Anko whispered something inaudible into Naruto's ears. Naruto said, "It's Raiton." Orochi chuckled at the duo. He said, "Unfortunately the answer is actually Doton." Anko and the boy's eyes went wide. Anko asked, "Why is it Doton?" Lightning naturally would use water as a conductor to enhance its ability. It would take water at least 1.5 times the amount to overcome lightning. Orochimaru was smirking up a storm. He liked that Anko was actually thinking about her answers to Naruto. She was a perfect student, as she was willing to learn anything and could do anything with ease. He said, "You are right, but I want you to look at the Hokage mountain. The mountain is washed and cleaned with water. It takes time for water to destroy it. It can soak it up and hold it for a long time. Lightning is a little different. Yes, lightning can be effective against water. However, with water, the lightning spreads. So if you create a water shield and a lightning attack comes at you, instead of a direct hit, the lightning will be spread to the sides. Of course it would break the shield, but the lightning will not hit. Think of it like this: a spark can create a fire or full-blown energy." Orochimaru saw a big puddle or water where the fire was. He did a hand sign, and said, "Doton, Monosugoi, earth release, earth shattering." Soon enough the earth shattered around the puddle. The puddle fell through the cracks of the shattered ground. Orochi said, "You see what I mean?" Anko and Naruto nodded slowly, as the former understood much better than the latter. Orochi said, "Doton has the ability to change the strength and composition of the earth from being as hard as metal to as soft as clay, as well as manipulating their density, making them heavier or lighter." Now, since this is the case, what would be the weakness of Doton? Anko had to think about it. That's a hard one. Doton is the earth, so what could it be? She was at a loss. However, Naruto wasn't. He just yelled out, "Raiton." Orochimaru stopped mid-step. Shock was evident on his pale face. He could not believe it. He wouldn't believe it. He asked with a slight hesitation, What did you say?" Naruto clapped his hands as he repeated, "Tusan, it is Raiton." Nope, Orochimaru was not hearing things. He said, "That's correct, Naruto-kun. Anko-chan, I'm disappointed that you didn't get this one right." She huffed at her sensei as he continued. "The reason is can easily travel through and break the ground apart. Raiton allows the user to generate lightning by increasing the high-frequency vibrations of their chakra, allowing for piercing damage and fast movement. It does not move as fast as true lightning. Instead, due to the control the user has to exert over it, it moves far slower. What would that mean for the opponent, Anko-chan? Anko said without hesitation, it can give opponents time to still react. Just like Kakashi's Chidori, right? Naruto was confused. He didn't know what a Chidori was. Or for that matter a Kakashi. So instead he just listened to see what he can find out. Orochi really didn't like talking about that boy, but for this point in Raiton, he is necessary. Orochi commented, Kakashi is a different case altogether. He is able to quicken the lightning by a substantial amount. Normally a move like that would be an execution style when the opponent has no way of moving. The move itself is too straight. However, the reason it became signature move was because of something terrible. Naruto was of course intrigued. He watched his father talk about this Kakashi character and his Chiori or whatever it is called. Anko said after digesting the info, what is so terrible about him that it actually gives him the advantage? Orochimaru said, the reason it is terrible, or actually I would say deadly, is because if he uses it too much he will die. He spelled it out for Naruto wouldn't catch on. Or so he hoped. Naruto's mind started to hurt because he had so many questions bottled up. He just had to know something. He said in his squeak-like voice, dry? What's a kashi and how will it dry? Orochimaru cracked a smile. The boy could be very smart and intelligent, but sometimes you got to remember you are dealing with a 2-year-old. He made a shadow clone and said, Naruto-kun, my clone here is going to teach you how to draw inside. Anko and I have some adult ninja stuff to talk about. Naruto had a visible pout on his face. He wanted to know what a Kakashi was and how it dried. He relented, however, as he probably was not going to get his answer. He said, okay too-san. Orochi smiled as he saw Naruto leave. He looked at his female apprentice and said, okay Anko-chan, you wanted to know about Kakashi. To be quite honest, his ability to use the Chidori is more of a consolation prize to what's going on. As you know, he lost his eye in the war. She rolled her eyes as she replied, everyone knows that. I don't really see anything important about that. Orochimaru mentally frowned. Lately she has been more brash. She used to be so quiet and attentive, but now she has gotten loud. Maybe it's because she has been around Naruto. Or vice versa. He sighed inwardly. Well, Anko-chan, what you did not know is that he lost his teammate. His name was Obito Uchiha. Anko's eyes went wide. Her mouth had officially closed her mouth and listened to her sensei more intently. Let me tell you about the Sharingan. The Sharingan is a special eye as it has 7 more optical nerves and visual cortex than any other eye. The optical nerves send the illusions and visions to the brain. With the Sharingan there are 7 more of those. 3 of them are created by the body. The other 4 are created by the chakra of the user. With these nerves one's perception and visualization is grown 7-fold. For this to work, there are spots on the tangents and cotangents of the eyes that must connect with these nerves. The 4 chakra-induced ones do not activate until the Sharingan has been activated. Anko was surprised by this. She never knew about the extended detail of the Sharingan. Orochi continued, from what the reports say and that I confirmed for myself is that Obito Uchiha had in fact activated the Sharingan before he died. He sacrificed himself and more importantly his eye to his teammates. His other teammate Rin was a great medic. She with much reluctance took Obito's eye out perfectly. She took out the nerves from each spot. The problem came when she implanted Obito's eye into Kakashi's eye socket. To do the procedure, it takes a lot of time to get it just right. With the Sharingan it takes 3 times longer. In addition, this was during a time of war. She has done the procedure before, but this was different. She connected the wrong nerves into the wrong spots in the tangents. She didn't know about it at the time that she hooked the chakra ocular nerve into the blood tangent and the blood ocular nerve to the chakra tangent. The result is that with the chakra ocular nerve connected to the blood tangent, the Sharingan can never be deactivated. The worst part is the blood nerve being connected to the chakra tangent. Due to the fact that the Sharingan cannot be deactivated, the chakra tangent is trying to absorb the chakra from the blood nerve. In doing this, it is taking chakra away from his body. The chakra does not return once absorbed. So basically he will die from having no chakra. Anko's eyes were wide. She thought, Orochimaru-sensei never tells everything but what changed. This is so unlike him. She said, Sensei, why would you tell me everything? It is so unlike you. Orochimaru smirked at his apprentice. That was the Anko he knew, the smart and the inquisitive Anko. He said, well Anko, there is one piece of advice I will give you. A dead body tells more than a living one. Anko was deep in thought about what her sensei said. However, something felt wrong. She quickly tried to pull out a kunai from her waist bag, but it was too late. Orochi whispered in her ear, your body will be the perfect indicator along with the others. You will show me your true strength. His canine teeth grew into vipers as he bit the nape of Anko's neck. She started to convulse. She started to become feverish as her vision became blurry. On her neck a seal started to appear. It was almost like a tattoo. The last thing she said as Orochimaru lifted her up. Why Orochimaru-sensei? Orochi is not one for miscalculation. Miscalculation of anything could result in death. However, Orochimaru miscalculated his son's determination. Orochimaru took him inside the house, but it was only a few kilometers away from the real Orochi and Anko. As Orochi's clone was teaching him drawing techniques, Naruto's ear was twitching. His hearing was amazing as he could hear from at most 300 kilometers away. So while Naruto was drawing, he heard everything and it was buried deep into his head. No one could ever doubt how smart Orochimaru was. He knew how curious Naruto could be. Naruto had more than once been caught in Orochimaru's library. He caught Orochimaru off guard when he asked him about Fuinjutsu. Of course he didn't say the word correctly, but Orochi knew what word he tried to say. Orochi had started to teach Naruto how to create seals by showing him how to draw. Naruto had shown great skills in drawing the seals. Orochimaru kind of hoped he would be great with seals, especially with who his parents are. Naruto had finished his drawing. Orochi had his smirk on his face. Orochi said, very good Naruto. Now let's try. A month has passed and Naruto turned 3. He has grown so much in his abilities. His drawings were a few steps away from being complete. Orochimaru has been teaching Naruto how to punch and kick. Now Naruto, try this. Orochimaru did a side kick into a tree. The tree broke in half. Naruto blinked his eyes as the tree fell down. He looked incredulously at his father. "Two-san, I don't think I can dash." He pointed at the tree that was on the floor. Orochi had a small chuckle to himself. He kneeled down to the boy and patted his head. He said, "Naruto, I don't plan on you breaking the tree. That is something you could do when you're older. For now I want you to practice the kick. I'll do it with you." He reassured the boy as the boy nodded. Naruto got into position as he counted to himself the numbers. Ready, go. Hiya. He kicked the tree. The tree didn't have a dent in it. Naruto was disappointed as he knew he wasn't going to dent it. But he tried and tried again, all in vain. Orochi saw that the kick was not gaining any power. He said, "Naruto, put more strength on your kicking leg, not on the back leg. Remember that leg is used to keep you up." Naruto nodded as he go into position. He put all of his concentration onto the twice as tall tree. He went for the kick with a hiya. Naruto's kick was a good one. However, his legs kept going up. His eyes went wide as he was losing balance in his back leg. Orochimaru looked at Naruto's form. He didn't expect Naruto to be like Mato guy. Even Mato had trouble with taijutsu when he was 3. Maybe if I do a mini spar with him, I could probably see what he can do. He said, "Naruto, that's good, but you put too much concentration on the kick and not the balance." Naruto nodded as he got ready to kick the tree again. "Naruto-kun, you're not going to hit the tree again. We're going to have a little competition. If you win, you can have ramen. But if I win, we get my favorite food. Orochimaru realized how to get Naruto to do things, such as sparring with his whole heart, by the offer of ramen. Was it a good thing? To Orochi, it got the job done. Naruto asked, "Tusan, what happened to Anko-chan?" Every day since her disappearance, Naruto has been asking where she went. Orochi frowned as the thought of Naruto finding out might mess everything up. He said, "Anko-chan is out on a mission by the Hokage. She should be back soon." Naruto just nodded, although he felt something nagging in the back of his head. Orochi got into the Hebe stance, as Naruto got into a miniature version of it. Orochi smiled as his adopted son tried to copy him. Orochi saw that the stance had many flaws, but that was expected. He said, "Ready. Get set. Hajime." Naruto ran towards Orochimaru. He threw a punch that Orochi blocked easily. Orochi threw a soft punch to Naruto. To Naruto, however, the punch came at the speed of light. He went into a panic and ducked. He followed up with a sweep kick. Orochimaru frowned as he allowed Naruto to kick him. He didn't move an inch. He grabbed the boy by the collar. He weakly threw him to the other side. Naruto panicked too early. He needs to calm down and follow through. Let's see how he does in the second round. Naruto got up and got into stance once again. He panted as the initial fear of facing him was gone. He didn't rush this time. Instead, he picked up a kunai from the ground. He threw the kunai swiftly at the Hebe Sannin. The speed of the kunai no longer surprised the Sannin. He knew it came faster than a kid of 3 could throw. He deflected it as Naruto ran towards him. "I see you're trying to distract me." Naruto threw a punch. Unfortunately for Orochimaru, Naruto put all his strength into his fist as he punched Orochimaru in his testicles. Orochimaru's eyes went wide as everything went numb. He tried to squeal, but his body went into shock as fell over, clutching his side. Naruto's eyes went wide. "He won!" he exclaimed. "Yes. I beat Tusan." Tusan went down to the ground. "I'm getting free ramen." That was the last thing on Orochimaru's mind. Orochimaru has not been the same since that morning excursion. His hands have been constantly shaking as his hair was frayed. Naruto got his ramen at Orochimaru's expense. Right now Orochimaru had a visitor outside of the walls of Konoha. "Now, did you get the sample?" Orochi asked with a slightly agitated voice. Orochimaru was not in the mood for failure. His slit eyes peered into his visitor's eye. The guy's body was visibly shaking as he felt the Hebe Sannin's killer intent rise. He said, "Orochimaru-sama, I got the sample. Here it is." He pulled out a vial of liquid. He lightly placed it into the Hebe Sannin's hand. Orochimaru carefully inspected the vial. He didn't fully trust the guy, but he wasn't going to deal with him yet. The man breathed easier as Orochi pocketed the vial. The man said, "Now how about the Uchiha and the Hyuga?" "I'll be here dash." "No. No. What do you mean no? I got you the samples and everything and you tell me no. Who the hell do you think you are?" Orochi calmly looked at the man who was basically foaming at the mouth. He said, "I would like for you to keep your voice down or somebody might see you before it's time." Now it seems someone is being greedy. We agreed on the Hyuga. The Uchiha was not in the discussion, or else the demand would have been much more. The man growled at the Hebe Sannin. He said, "Fine, I'll trade you the male Hyuga for a male Uchiha." Orochi's eyes narrowed at the man. He did not like being put in a situation like this. He said, "No can do. There is only a 1/4 chance that an Uchiha can produce and a 1/16 chance of a Sharingan child. Since I did not check the genetics of any of the Uchiha children, I'm pretty damn sure that you are not going to be able to steal 4 Uchihas and a Hyuga. So I sincerely suggest that you cut your losses on the Uchiha. Now when are you scheduled to come for this peace treaty your Kage came up with?" The man had to reel himself in before he got himself killed. he said with anger lacing his words. "I'll be here in 2 weeks." Orochi nodded as he said, "Good, I'll see you then." With that, Orochimaru disappeared in a swirl of leaves, leaving a furious visitor to fume. Chapter 5: Orochimaru's Departure. A week has gone by and Orochi was a patient man. He knew what he had, in his possession, was another piece to his ultimate chimera. The problem was, did he want to finish it? He saw the effects of the last time, but he knew that this was the last time. He didn't waste time bartering with a certain group for their genetics. Orochi had to find and create different things for almost every member in order to get the genetics. With that in his mind, he was going to do it. He was mulling over things when a cobra poofed into existence. The cobra's full length was a few inches taller than his summoner. He is a dull gold-colored cobra. He has 5 black and yellow stripes going down his back. Orochi recognized him instantly. He said, "Ko, how is the construction of the project going?" The newly named Ko said, "Orochimaru-sama, the building is going along smoothly. In a few years it will be fully operational. We have many recruits helping out. It helps that they are so lively with music. You sure know how to pick them." Orochimaru grinned as his side project was working out well. "That's excellent, Ko-kun. Now, how about the toy rooms?" Orochi has been busy using his Sannin rights. He has been setting up toy rooms all over Hinokuni while the snake summons watched over Naruto. He asked the snakes to watch over his playhouses while he was in Konoha. Ko said, "Orochimaru-sama, that is the reason I'm here." "Someone has found toy for." Orochimaru's eyes narrowed at this. That toy room currently held his Anko-chan and others. He snarled at the cobra as he spoke, "Who found it and why wasn't I told immediately? Tell me now." The cobra slightly coiled as Orochi's killing intent rose. He said, "It was Konoha's ANBU. Hiruzen Sarutobi was not known as the Shinobi no Kami for nothing. He had noticed some unusual things in the village hidden in the leaves. He has not heard anything from Jiraiya in a while. The last thing he had heard was that he was following this group that are supposedly targeting S-ranked ninjas to join them. He didn't know what to believe with that, as there are only a few S-ranked ninjas in the world, himself included, and for a person or a group to actually gather them all together for one cause sounds downright impossible. However, in a ninja world where people are able to manipulate the elements, anything is possible. He was going to put that in the back of his mind for now. The other problem has been Orochimaru and Naruto. His plan was to have Naruto become a Sarutobi. However, that could not happen unless by a small minuscule chance Orochi gave up on Naruto. That was the plan anyway, for Orochi, being the perfectionist he is, to give up on an imperfect baby. Sarutobi was wrong, dead wrong. Orochi has become possibly the perfect father. That is the part that is him. No one can be the perfect father. He had to have at least dropped the boy. Naruto has been downright polite, sincere, articulate for a child his age, and overall happy. For heaven's sake, there was not even a hair out of place according to the doctor's report. This was not right and Sarutobi knew it. He just could not prove it. The final thing on his mind was this peace treaty with Kumo. Kumo could be described as two things: aggressive and cunning. They were the snakes that bit you when you are not around. He was not stupid. He was aware of their plans. He knew Kumo set this ploy up to possibly steal something, more specifically someone. The question is always who. Then there was that purple-haired genin. She went missing a month or so ago. This was the 10th abduction in the last few months. She was supposedly on mission with her team. But the presiding Jonin said she wasn't even on the team. Although she was an orphan after the Kyuubi attack, there were a few that actually cared for her well-being. His mind went a mile a minute as he had to be smart about this. If everything goes correctly, he could avoid any unnecessary fighting, a peace treaty and a round of good Lightning Country smokes. That unfortunately could only happen in a perfect world. In a blur, a female ANBU member kneeled in front of his spacious office. He gained a stern look on his face as he said, "Report." The female stood up and bowed at her leader. She took off her mask, taking off the genjutsu that it activates when it is on. She said, "Hokage-sama, we found someone has experimental lab that was not authorized by you or the daimyo of Hi-no-Kuni." Hiruzen's eyes went wide as he quickly narrowed them. This was not something he wanted to happen at this particular time. His thoughts were grating his nerves as he looked at the woman. The female ANBU was 5 feet, 7 inches tall. She had jade green eyes. Her most prominent feature is her hair. Her hair was a bright pink that went down the middle of her back. Her figure was more athletic, with her bust being a medium B. Her face was more stoic as she watched her leader. The Sandaime said in a serious tone, "What did you find in this lab? Do not leave any details out." She could feel it. The Sandaime's killing intent was rising quickly. She felt like suffocating as his old weary eyes had become stern and showed the power of the old man. She kept a calm demeanor as she spoke. "Hokage-sama, my team had found 10 abducted ninjas in tubes. 9 are dead. The one who survived whatever had happened to them is the missing genin Anko Mitarashi. She is merely unconscious." Sarutobi's eyes were grim. The 9 abducted people who died were actually the cream of the crop for the new generation. This was a major setback. Who would do this to these people? How did Anko survive? Maybe she would be the one that give them an indication of who it is. He said, "Inu, Saro, Tora report." In an instant 3 ANBU members were on kneeling in front of the Hokage and the ANBU female. The 2 to the right looked exactly the same as the mask put a genjutsu over their appearance. The first person was a little odd-looking. Although he is supposed to be an ordinary ANBU, he is very noticeable. He has gravity-defying silver hair. He is about 6 feet 3 inches tall. He wore a black t-shirt with the special ANBU vest with black pants. On his arm he had the Konoha version of the ANBU symbol. Hiruzen lit up his pipe. He pushed a button under the desk. When he touched the button, a red barrier encircled the room. No sound or anything could be heard or shown outside of the barrier. He said, "On this day, we will be conducting a task force. This is an S-ranked mission. As you know, we will have a high member of Kumobikure no Sato coming to Konoha in a week's time. Kumo is a little shady because of their overly aggressive wants of bloodlines. Another problem is there was an illegal lab found. This lab has the 10 missing genin that we lost, including one Anko Mitarashi. She is the only one to have survived the ordeal. Too many variables and factors have clouded our picture. Your 4 squads are going to wash the picture's glass. Now this is how it will go. Tora, you and your squad are going to beef up the security around the borders. In addition, you are going to the clan heads and make sure that they have security on all the children and clan heirs. This will last for 3 weeks. You are going to report to the commander after you are finished. Now sorry, your squad's job is going to search the perimeter of Hi-no-Kuni. I want your squad to find all unauthorized labs around. You do not and will not enter these labs. These labs are more than likely to be booby-trapped. So if you find them, mark it down and report it to your commander so we can send the appropriate team to the location. Finally, Inu, your task is the most dangerous." Inu looked at his leader with slight confusion. He replied, "Hokage-sama, what is so dangerous about this mission? My group has Karasu, Nico, Ria, and myself. We are a pretty powerful team with great teamwork." The Sandaime took a puff of his pipe. He knew that Inu wasn't questioning his authority but merely the term he used to describe the mission. Rumor has it that this group took on 100 me by themselves. But that's just a rumor after all. Hiruzen took another puff and said, "Inu, your squad will have an S-ranked recon mission. An S-ranked recon mission has only been done 3 times in the history of Konoha. The mission cannot go wrong or else someone dies." This was serious and Inu knew it. Inu became quiet as he listened to the Hokage. "Now Inu, your job is the hardest. This mission becomes a failure, not only will you but the whole squad will be charged with treason. So you must be swift and effective." Treason hit Inu and the pink-haired ANBU member hard. Inu gulped as he asked, "Hokage-sama, what is the mission?" The Hokage took a deep breath and sighed. He looked out into the window, seeing the Hokage mountain and children playing. He said, "Inu, your job is to infiltrate and steal all evidence in the house of Orochimaru." Orochimaru nearly lost his mind. Yes, Orochimaru showed his anger for the first time in a long time. He literally threw a chair past 3 rooms, shattering the chair in pieces. The Cobra, KO, cowered under a table as Orochimaru destroyed most of the furniture in the room. It took Orochimaru 20 minutes to stop destroying the furniture. He panted as his now red eyes were fixated on the Cobra. He said, "How the fuck did ANBU find it, and why that son of bitch is not 6 feet under?" KO could not breathe as he felt the killing intent of Orochimaru was suffocating him. He could barely even look the Hebe-san in eye to eye as he said, "Orochimaru-sama, from what I was told, the group got lost after a disorientating fight and stumbled onto it. From what the snakes guarding the place said, the commander did a powerful futon jutsu that kept them preoccupied. She was able to disable all the traps with ease. I have never seen anything like that in my life." Orochi's red eyes went wide as he thought of the ANBU who could do that. It took Orochi a moment until he realized who it was. He smashed the last piece of furniture into 2 pieces, scaring KO even more. He growled, "That fucking bitch. KO, tell the other snakes to activate all the traps. I mean all of them. The next person who comes into the lab will be 6 feet under. Now I need to give Naruto the final syringe and take care of it. Damn it to hell, Konoha is a problem and a fucking half. All they do is make things worse and fuck everything up. Especially that Haruno bitch." He didn't know how right he was. During the week, the civilians have been decorated the village as the upcoming treaty would create an alliance with Kumo. The civilians were whispering and were absolutely giddy. The thought of upcoming business brought such joy. This was not the same sentiment of the shinobi of Konoha. It wasn't all that long ago that the Third Shinobi War was still going on. Kumo was an instigator to the tension of IWA and Konoha. One of the rumors was that one of their premier Kumo Jonin actually killed the Tsukage's older daughter, and it was said that the Yondaime Hokage did it. But that's just a rumor. They did not trust Kumo one bit. The tension grew higher as each day came closer. Danzo was of course on edge. He knows Kumo was going to do something. He had some associations with Kumo in the past. They had a falling out 20+ years ago when a trade fell through the cracks. The trade was supposed to be capturing of the Jinchuriki of Konoha in exchange for the 2 tails and 8 tails. Kumo failed because of the future Yondaime Hokage when he was at age 8. That was embarrassing for Kumo Gakure. However, this did bring hope for the future shinobi in Konoha. Speaking of which, a flash appeared before Danzo. Danzo sat in his chair as his second in command was bowing down at him. Danzo said in his monotonous voice, "Fukushu, how is Operation Adopt going?" Operation Adopt has been in effect for 3 years. Danzo had delightedly surprised from what he has seen from it. They have gained of 700 children. 1/3 of those children have bloodlines running through their veins. These children have been growing towards the way Danzo wanted them to be, the perfect soldiers. The children were fed normal amounts of food, but their toys were actually weapons. They were taught different things including fighting and that sort, while the older children were grouped into 2s and learned how to work together and how to survive with the essential teachings like cooking. Yes, Danzo's dream was coming true. Fukushu said, "Danzo-sama, everything is going on full cylinders. The little seedlings are starting to develop. There is one, however, that has developed before time. His number is 1919. He has shown great skills in the art of sumijutsu, ink techniques. He has made creatures at the tender age of 3. He had even made on come to life for a whole minute. That is extraordinary for a child, especially at 3. Hearing Fukushu's inner giddiness about this group, Danzo smiled inwardly as he said, "The new age of root is here." Naruto had awakened with immense pain. He never felt pain like this in his life. He screamed as his tears fell freely. He tried to get up to go to his father's room, but the pain, a surge of lightning, went through the Naruto's body. He screamed out in pain and fear, "Tusan! Help! Please! Orochimaru did not sleep. He learned from a young age during the wars that sleep was the enemy. Orochimaru simply meditated. However, since he had Naruto with him, meditating has become even more of a problem. With his sensitive ears, he could hear Naruto's whimpers, especially when Orochi injected the pathogens into his system. He sighed as his mind wandered after injecting Naruto with that final pathogen. His ear twitched. He heard that scream only once. He quickly jumped up. The last time Naruto screamed, it was the pathogen before this one where he convulsed and almost died. He didn't know what was going on or what was going to happen. As Naruto convulsed on the floor as lightning formed around him. As the lightning went through the floor into the electrical outlets, causing the house's lights to flicker off and on, he tried to utter some coherent words but his body stopped him. Orochi quickly tried to open the door. However, when he touched the doorknob, his body was shocked with enough volts to kill a small animal. He pulled his hand back as shocks went through his body. He gritted his teeth as he kicked the door open. What Orochimaru saw made his heart stop. There he was, Naruto the Kyuubi Jinchuriki, laying on the floor unconscious with lightning and energy flowing through him to every part of his room. As the lightning hit from one place to another, it looked like a light show that Orochi didn't want any part of. He yelled, "Naruto, are you okay? Speak to me." He tried to get close to the boy. Boom! A thread of blue lightning struck Orochimaru deep into his chest. Orochi was thrown back into the wall as he clutched his chest. He opened his eyes and saw Naruto convulsing as the lightning show was destroying the room. His thoughts were scrambled as the pain went through his body, from his toes all the way to his fingertips. What have done? I've got to reach him, but how? I need some type of an insulator. Damn, I need some type of rubber suit. I could get the one in the lab, but it might be too late. I could throw myself up, but the pain will still be there. Wait a minute, the angular projection of the lightning never hits the floor. I got it. Orochi was not stupid. This is why he is considered one of the best shinobi alive. He did a few hand signs and slammed his hand to the ground and said, "Kuchios no jutsu." In a puff of smoke a snake appeared. It was 10 feet long head to tail. His was a cobalt blue with yellow stripes going along its back. He has blue and yellow slit eyes. He had a large horn on the top of his head. Orochimaru wheezed out with pain going through his lungs. "Rakurenio, I need you to conduct the lightning into your horn." The newly named Rakurenio said, "Orochimaru-sama, as much as I would love to take up all the electricity as it would be a delicious snack, ZZZP taking all of that electricity would ZZZP kill young Naruto. That is not normal ZZZP lightning or electricity. This is not chakra ZZZP laced. I've never seen ZZZP like this before. It's like the lightning is natural ZZZP, but Naruto had somehow was bending it to his will ZZZP, but it went terribly wrong ZZZP. I can deflect the chakra enough to allow you suppress Naruto's chakra control. Once you do that ZZZP, I could absorb my snack." Orochi's eyes were wide from Rakurenio's explanation. He couldn't really comment, as did a certain hand sign. On his hands were 5 kanji symbols. The first is the kanji sign for metal. The second one is the symbol for wood. The third one is the symbol for water. The fourth one is the symbol for fire. The final one is the symbol for earth. He said, "I am ready, whenever you are, Rakurenio." The snake nodded as it quickly took hold of the lightning charge. Soon all the electricity was focused on Rakurenio. This was as painful as it could get for the snake, as its purpose was to eat the electricity, not absorb and deflect. It was like letting the prey beat up the predator. He hissed at Orochimaru as the lightning was going through his body unnaturally. "What are you ZZZP waiting for? Go get the boy and stop him *ZZZP* before I become ashes." Orochimaru was a little frozen. To him he saw not one but 2 individuals he held in high regard were dying. He never froze up like this before and didn't like it at all. He felt useless. It was not until Rakurenio yelled at him to realize that he had to do something. He rushed towards the boy and flipped him over. He could see even with Naruto's eyes wide open that Naruto was deeply unconscious and had a great possibility of dying. He heard Naruto whisper with life knocking on death's door, "Help me too, San." He did what he had to do. With much regret he said, "Sorry about this, Naruto, but this is the only way." Gojyo Fuin, 5 elemental seal. He pressed the 5 symbols onto Naruto's stomach. Rakurenio's body started to feel the heat coursing through his body. He shuddered as he knew if Orochi doesn't do something quick he would be done for. He slitted his eyes as he could feel the lightning gaining momentum over his body. Here it was his end. He closed his eyes tighter as he waited for the kill. Nothing. He opened his eyes to see the lightning had become wild. He smirked as his body was slightly charred. He saw the lightning just waiting to be eaten as he drew the lightning sparks to himself and ate it. His body started to have a charge with a smile on his face. He licked his lips with satisfaction. He looked over to see the boy and concern washed over him. He said, "Orochi-sama, how is young ZZZP Naruto doing?" Orochi was not quiet but silent. He didn't know what to really say. Naruto has a 85% chance of living. The lightning that was surging through him did not zap all of his chakra. That in itself scared Orochimaru, as that means it has 2 explanations. The first is that Naruto has the possibility of having way too much chakra. It is possible to have more than a Chunin. That is too scary of thought that a 3-year could have that much chakra flowing through him. Yet the second thought is actually worse. Orochi didn't feel it, but he couldn't be sure that the Kyuubi's chakra is flowing through Naruto's core chakra system. If that is the case, then Naruto will become a ticking time bomb. He could even be the poster boy for what happens when abused children grow up to be. The thoughts clouded his mind as he felt something tugging on him. Rakurenio heard nothing from Orochi. So he decided to slither to the Hibi-Sannin. He tugged onto his sleeve as Orochi went into a mental shock. He was still not responding, so Rakurenio took it upon himself to give Orochi a little bit of shock therapy. He bit Orochi's ankle, sending a few volts through his body. Orochi's eyes went wide as he felt the voltage go up and down his body. It was not nearly enough to kill or do permanent damage, but it still gave the Hibi-Sannin a jolt. He looked down and saw Rakurenio positive and negative charged vipers still out. Rakurenio said to the Hibi-Sannin as he retracted his vipers, "Are you okay, Orochimaru-sama? You zoned out ZZZP on me less than a few moments ZZZP after the battle." Orochi looked at the snake with his yellow weary eyes. The snake felt empathy for the man as he sighed. Orochi said with a dead tone, "None of this should have happened, Rakurenio. The plan had been to build this boy up, and then I could simply take his body. But it went wrong. Everything went fucking wrong." The frustration has caught up with Orochimaru, and Rakurenio knew it. Although Rakurenio is young in summon years, he has been with Orochimaru for 20 years. Rakurenio has been through it all with Orochimaru. He said in a calm voice, "Orochi-sama, you don't get it. Of course this plan was going to have setbacks that would cripple it. Personally, I thought the plan would fail because of the fact that most people would have died with one bloodline reaction. Naruto is truly remarkable in that aspect. Now the other aspect is what has been the human aspect. What has been lost on you is love. Ever since what happened to Ophelia Dash. Don't you bring her into this." Orochi snarled as his fists shook from visible Rakurenio anger. Rakurenio was not afraid of Orochi by any means. He had nerves of titanium. He was calm as he spoke, "Orochi, don't be so ZZZP haste. This is about 35% about ZZZP Ophelia. In fact, that is why you came up with this ZZZP concoction of a plan. You know ZZZP it and I know it. Ever since the incident, ZZZP, you have lost the ability to love. You have become cold, and that's coming from a ZZZP cold-blooded summon. You have always been manipulative, ZZZP, I'll give you that, but the scientific degrading of human life has become ZZZP appalling. You are experimenting with people's ZZZP lives. Naruto is a different case ZZZP altogether. You raised him like he was your very own. He has a personality that is like a ZZZP magnetic attraction. He has something about him that brings people, animals, ZZZP even summons to him. He even melted your heart. So tell me, did you plan ZZZP on that? Naruto was the X factor. Orochi was not calmed by this, as Rakurenio was right. He didn't calculate Naruto the human factor. That was one variable that has quite possibly destroyed his plans. He said, with venom getting stronger with each passing word, so Rakurenio, if this is the case, then what does Ophelia have to do with it? Huh, you are just as bad as the others. Everyone always wants to bring up things that do not need to be there. Rakurenio was not surprised by Orochi's demeanor. His ice-cold demeanor was cracking and he needed to push it just a little further. Orochi, you don't remember ZZZP, do you? You forgot what your inspiration for this whole plan was. Your plan is to be all-powerful and immortal. That's true. However, you wanted to be immortal to keep researching dash. Shut up. Just shut up. I don't need this right now. If you want to help things, then help me bring Naruto into the chamber. I'm going to conduct a series of tests on the boy to see how his body is holding up. We will not discuss this ever again. Do you understand, Rakurenio? Rakurenio looked at the mentally weakened Orochimaru with pity. He couldn't get him to break yet, but this is an excellent start. He thought, with all those scars in his soul, he needs to have closure. Wait a minute. Talking about scars, that energy should have at least gave Naruto a dozen wounds. Yet he doesn't have a single scratch on him. He said, Orochi-sama, there's something wrong. Really, really wrong. Orochi really didn't want to talk yet, he needed to know if there is anything wrong. He sneered, what is wrong now, Rakurenio? Rakurenio rolled his eyes at Orochimaru. The Hibi-Sannin was not in the mood, but Rakurenio didn't care. He knew this was more important than Orochimaru's mental disarray. He said, Orochi-sama, the energy that was emitted by Naruto is quite troublesome. You see, although Naruto's body was emitting it, he had no such control. This means it is on its own. Orochimaru nodded at this but really didn't see any problem other than lack of control. He asked quizzically, okay, so he couldn't control the lightning. I didn't expect him to, but what does have to do with anything? Rakurenio knew that Orochi was not catching on, so he replied, think about it. What happens when lightning hits metal or even a tree? The lightning would leave scorch marks. Now look at the walls, there are scorch marks all over the place. Along with that, have you ever seen a light bulb that is blown because of too much voltage? Dash. Orochimaru snapped, what's the point? You're not making any sense. Orochi was still not understanding what the blue and yellow snake was talking about. The snake sighed as he continued, Orochi, you gotta think. If Naruto's body couldn't control the lightning, then why the hell does he not have any scorch marks or burns anywhere on his body? He didn't have any cuts or anything like that. Orochi stopped in mid-stride as his eyes went wide. He could only utter, oh my kami. The rest of the night was calm for Orochi. Orochi was still in his lab watching the young boy with a mask on floating in a tube with a green liquid. It seems that the boy is in a medically induced state of unconsciousness. He already determined that Naruto was going to be in there for a week's time. As Naruto floated, Rakurenio decided to watch as he, like most of the snake summons, have grown attached to the boy. The only one who doesn't like him all that much was Manda, but didn't like almost anyone. He barely tolerates Orochimaru. This boy has caused a conflict of interest. The snakes considered Naruto the next heir of the snake summons. He would be the perfect candidate. He was fun and looked naturally harmless, but he is highly deceptive and will catch anyone off guard. He is actually quite the charmer. Rakurenio sighed as he saw the possible catalyst to the restoration of separation of the summons, floating in the green tube. There has been a resistance brewing among the snake summons. Manda and his followers have become darker in their way of thinking and actions. They have started to go the old way of thinking, making the snake summons look like evil, deceptive creatures that represent all that is wrong with the world. This is causing a rift in their world and they hope he can fix it. He could only sigh as he looked at Summoner. He asked, Orochimaru-sama, what are the tests indicating? Orochimaru had been conducting tests since the event. Naruto's diagnostics were showing normal numbers. His bones were perfectly intact. In fact, they were stronger. It was normal as he was still growing for his bones to be sturdy. However, his bone development increased dramatically. It was worrisome, but Orochi had to keep calm. He said, "Rakurenio, there are a lot of abnormalities with the boy. Some of these abnormalities have been here since the beginning, like having perfect vision, mind capacity, being able to hear a mile away, his ability to sniff out anything, even his chakra levels. Tonight his tests showed even more abnormalities. His bones are much denser than before, his body is more flexible, his chakra control is almost pinpoint without training it, and the biggest abnormality is the rapid regeneration. Rapid regeneration is a double-edged sword. Cells naturally regenerate, but not this quickly. It basically like layaway. With rapid regeneration, one's cells come back almost as quickly as that cell left. However, because of how quick he regenerates, he is killing the cell's life at a much quicker rate. So for example, if hypothetically his lifespan originally was 80 years, if he keeps regenerating at this rate, it could cut it down to 60 years. That is a 20-year drop-off. But Naruto's genealogy has changed that possibly. The Uzumakis live long lives. Some Uzumakis have reached the age of 160. With that being the case, losing 20 years would mean he could live up to 140 years. That is the best case scenario with the 20-year problem. The second problem deals with what I injected into him. It is the Mokuton genes. The genes slow down the cell's life almost to a crawl. This is done by the force of nature's chakra. That particular chakra can overtake the cells and keeps it going. What is interesting is that Naruto should not be able to naturally gain this ability unless he is a direct descendant of the Shodai. This is quite interesting. As Orochimaru was rambling to himself, Rakurenio was skeptical about the Mokuton. He asked, "Orochimaru-sama, can you explain how you can tell that from Naruto being in a tube? It doesn't make much sense." Orochi saw the skepticism on Rakurenio's face. It was natural, as anyone could throw out different terminology and it doesn't make much sense. Orochi pulled out Naruto's lab results and showed it to him. He said, "You see, I took a sample of Naruto's blood. I tested it by putting a drop under the microscope. When compared to not 1 but 1,000 samples, I was able to tell how much oxygen and other things are in the cell. As to the nature's chakra, I was able to place some into a few cells not of Naruto's. With the variety of the samples, I was able to conclude that nature chakra can make a cell to live up to 400 years. That is, of course, without a person getting injured. So along with Naruto's genes and nature's chakra, the rapid regeneration becomes a plus than a minus." Rakurenio could only blink at this scientist. He didn't understand the explanation, and at this point he didn't want to. He said, "Okay, Orochimaru-sama, if you say ZZZP so. I don't get ZZZP how you got this, but ZZZP, as long as Naruto is fine, then everything is swell." In a matter of seconds, Rakurenio disappeared in a puff of smoke. Orochimaru knew that Rakurenio was extremely tired and was going to pop at any moment. When he left, however, Orochimaru, for the first time since gaining custody of Naruto, that he felt alone. The overwhelming sadness and depression had caught him. He bowed his head. If one looked close enough, he or she could see a few droplets fall from his pale white face. He mumbled as sleep overcame him, "Ophelia." For days have passed and Orochimaru has not been the same. He had started to become mentally unstable since Naruto was in the tube. Ophelia came back to mind, and his departure from Konoha. In addition, Orochimaru had a problem and a half. As he looked around at the ever-growing tension, he realized today was the day of the Konoha-Kumo Treaty. He sighed loudly as he got up from his lab chair and tapped the tube with Naruto in it. He knew these would be the memories he will remember forever. It didn't matter if Naruto wasn't his biological son or not, will always be his son. With that resolve, Orochi went into his library. He was going to make sure Naruto would not stop learning even when he was gone. "My son is going to be the best, I'll be damned if any tries to stop him. Other than me, of course. Coo. It's time, Inu thought to himself. His squad had hidden themselves in trees near the house of Orochimaru. He sighed as this was not the mission he particularly liked. But if the Sandame wanted him to do it, then he will. He whispered to Nico, "What do you see in Orochimaru's house?" Nico was about 5 feet, 8 inches tall. Her face was a little narrow. Her body is curved like an hourglass with a small C cup. She has long purple hair. She was about 14 years old. On her back was a slim sword. She used her binoculars to look into the house. She said, "Bantecho, I don't see him anywhere. It seems like he has left for some reason. I didn't see him leave the house, but he's out of range." This made Inu frown deeply. Right now Orochimaru was a variable that can't seem to remain constant. He said, "Ria, use your teleportation ability to assess the situation better." Rio nodded. Rio was about 5 feet 11 inches tall. He had short brown hair. His face was pointy. He is wearing a long-sleeved, dark hunter green and black t-shirt along with a black flak jacket. His pants were black with seals on the sides. On his back he has a slightly curved katana hidden in a sleek sheath. His mask was a dragon with beady, jet black eyes. In an instant, he disappeared into thin air. This is why Inu liked this group. Their abilities worked so well with each other. He smirked under his mask as he watched Ryu dart from each side of the house. He returned in a few seconds. He said, "Bantecho, there is no indication of Orochimaru. It seems that you chose the right day to do this. It seems like there is an entrance at the southeast side." Inu nodded as he analyzed the information. He did not like putting his team in a situation where there are too many variables. He sighed as he analyzed the house carefully. Sure, he and his team were going to in the southeast side. It was still problematic, if caught. He said, "Karasu, I want you to put a rotating genjutsu around the southeast entrance. If necessary, you could put a third layer." Karasu was about 5 feet, 6 inches tall. He has black hair that hung near his cheeks to frame his face and kept the rest of it in a ponytail. He wears a black and gray armor, metal arm guards and gloves, ninja sandals with spikes, 3 ninja pouches on their back waist. He has a black long-sleeve shirt on that covers his Konoha spiral tattoo. He has jet black eyes. His mask is a weasel. Karasu closed his eyes as he said, "Bantecho, do you think that he could possibly set up this backdoor entrance for intruders? It seems extremely suspicious that he has another entrance other than the front door and the back door." Inu's eyes went wide. He facepalmed as he felt stupid. Karasu was right. How could he forget about the aspect of traps? He sighed as he had no other choice. The Sandane was going to nail Kumo and Orochimaru today. He just needed the proof. He sighed as he said, "Karasu's right. How do we know? Well, we are going to have to see for ourselves. Let's go." With that, the ANBU squad embarked on the quest into Orochimaru's house. "Hayashi-kun, brighten up. Today's Hinata's 3rd birthday," Harini said to her husband as he sighed. Yes, it just so happened to be Hinata Hyuga's birthday. He had become stoic after 3 years of hearing from Shinobi Council to civilian council members, hell even the Hyuga council members, about arranging a marriage to his little daughter. Even one was so bold as to demand his signature to wed her. Well, that particular gentleman has not been seen in Hainokuni since then, or for that matter anywhere else. He rubbed his temples as his pregnant wife draped her slender arms over his shoulders around his neck. Harini kissed him softly on the cheek as he sighed. He smiled slightly as he saw his little girl growing up. "Harini-chan, you know it's hard to believe that Hinata-chan is 3 years old already. I could have sworn that I would have lost my mind by the time she turned 3. He joked wryly. She giggled at her husband's dry joke. She slapped him slightly on his arm. She said, "Hayashi-kun, you can't go crazy as long as I'm here." He smirked as he hugged his impregnate wife closer to him. He said, "It's hard to believe that Hien-kun is 9 years old and is a genin already. He is the pride of the Hyuga clan." She giggled slightly as Hayashi was proclaiming that his son was the best of the new crop. She said, Hayashi-kun, Hisashi-kun's son, Niji has been shown to be very adept to gentle fist. Hayashi scoffed at his wife as he laughed. He said, Hisashi's son is a weak, just like his daddy. He should kiss Hind's feet for that matter. She laughed at her husband's arrogance. She said, I hope he doesn't get a big head like you did when you graduated with Minato-sama. The normally conservative Hayashi became flustered. That particular class was considered the best crop of ninjas to exist since the time of the Sandaime and Danzo-s. The class contained Minato Namikaze, Fugaku Uchiha, Hayashi Hyuga, Hisashi Hyuga, Harini Hyuga, Shikaku Nara, Chosa Akimichi, Inoichi Yamanaka, Yoshino Nara, Kushina Uzumaki, and Tsuma Izuka. During that time each student in the class graduated at the age of 10. This particular class made the Rookie of the Year award so prominent. It was a four-way battle between Minato, Kushina, Fugaku, and of course Hayashi. At the end it became a draw between Minato, Hayashi, and Kushina. They decided that this would be the first time that there would be a triumvirate for the title. Minato became the leader of Squad 7 under the tutelage of Jiraiya. Hayashi became the leader of Team 8 under the tutelage of Tsukumo Hatake. Kushina became the leader of Team 6 under the tutelage of Tsunade. He smiled at the memories of the Rowdytsum, the quiet Minato, the loudmouth Kushina, the red-faced shy girl who kept touching her fingers together, also known as his wife. He said, You know, beautiful, we were pretty amazing in our day. I think this generation is going to be good this year. She kissed him on the cheek as she let out a joyous sigh. She said, Who knows? They might be better than us. Now Hayashi-kun, it's time to actually get out of this bed and get ready for the party. Hayashi laughed as his wife giggled. He said, You know what, Harini-chan, I love you and the kids. I don't think anything can ruin an amazing day like this. Unfortunately, Hayashi didn't know how wrong he was. The man of the hour had finally arrived. As he signed his name onto the sign-in sheet, one of the ninja guards alerted the Hokage and councils of his arrival. The ninja guard read the man's name, his eyes narrowed. This was the same man that basically ended his ninja career. The man said to the guard, I remember you. Yeah, you're Hitoshi. How is that spine of yours? He sneered at the man as 4 members of the ANBU landed around the man. The man put his hands up as the ANBU members searched him from head to toe. As they searched for weapons and other destructive tools, they did not realize his most destructive tool was his mind. Hitonis was a deceitful human being and an extremely powerful politician. When he used to be an active ninja, he had become one step away from being the Raikage. But he digressed. After the pat-down, the main ANBU said, Hitonis Dano, before the festivities can begin, the Shinobi Council would like to begin the meeting now. Then afterwards you can have the celebrations. Hitonis nodded as he was escorted to the Hokage Tower. He turned his head back to the guard. With a sick sinister grin he said, Hitoshi-san, I hope that Kumo can have Konoha's backing after this. Before Hitoshi could move, ANBU disappeared in a swirl of leaves, leaving the man to brew with hatred. Orochimaru was dressed in his formal robe. He sighed as he hated formal attire, especially when it had the Hide-san ninth seal on the back. It went against the style of the snake. As he looked in the mirror he could feel a ghost-like feeling running up his spine. He sighed as he thought about the boy who became his adopted son. He knew he was about to leave him to the wolves and savages of Konoha. He wanted to take Naruto with him, but it had way too many risks involved. Orochimaru-sama, we have checked on Naruto-kun, a familiar voice said. His voice sounded sullen. Orochimaru turned to see Naruto's bestest friend, as Naruto would call him. Orochimaru could see it in the snake's eye. It was cold. It was anger. It was disappointment. He said, Orenji, what is his condition? Orenji's neck snapped up. His slit eyes became even narrower. He hissed as he said, other than being in a tube with green liquid, he is nice and dandy. His stats are fine. He should be able to come out of there tonight. Orochi scowled at Orenji's tone but disregarded it for now. He said, Good, now I have one more task. I need you to guard Naruto today. Hitonis has arrived from Kumobakure and I have to represent the three Sannin. The orange snake rolled his eyes as hissed something under his breath. He silently slid his way back to Naruto. Orochi's anger tripled as he balled his fists tightly. He didn't need this attitude of Orenji to know that he messed up. With the thought of Ophelia and Naruto fresh into his mind, he punched the 6-foot dressing mirror. As it shattered, Orochi noticed the facade that he portrayed freely fall to the ground. Here it was, the Hibi Sannin, the great inventor, one of the greatest tag team member, was alone and broken. With this last thought he disappeared into a swirl of leaves. Orenji slithered to the tube that contained Naruto. Unbeknownst to Orochi, a large amount of the group had started to rebel from Orochi and the contract. The upcoming war between Manda and his brother Yamada was growing. Most of the snakes are actually on Yamada's side. They want Naruto as the new summoner. Orenji's mission is to watch over him in secret. He will be his unofficial guardian. He was given the command that if Orochi even tries something on Naruto anymore, he was given the right to strike and subdue the man. If it comes to a lethal battle, he was given the green light to take him out. Orenji sighed as he watched the boy floating with the simple thought going through his mind. Naruto. It took a few moments until the greatest peace treaty of all time to occur. The Shinobi Council wasn't as thrilled as the civilians outside were. The Hokage, Hitonis, and the Shinobi Council were escorted to the guest conference room of the Hokage Tower. As they were all seated in the conference, the Hokage gave Hitonis a pipe and lit it for him. The Hokage said, "Welcome Shinobi Council and Hitonis-san. Today is a great day. It is an honor for Konoha to welcome one of the highest-ranking members of Kumobakure. Today is not a day of war but a day for peace, an olive branch that Kumo graciously offered. With this, it is my pleasure to let Hitonis-san begin the treaty discussions." Hitonis stood up and bowed to the council. He said, "It is a privilege to meet you here. It is even better as this meeting is for the peace between two of the greatest nations." Hitonis pulled out a scroll from his pocket. He opened the scroll and continued speaking. Kumo would like to begin the peace treaty with the MAD, or the Mutually Assured Destruction discussion. As you know, we have two Jinchuriki, Nibi and Hachibi. We know that you have the strongest one in the Kyubi. To ensure our treaty, we would like for two things to happen. The first is that we mutually agree that in any future wars we will not use the Jinchuriki as weapons against each other. Hiruzen and the Shinobi Council were in deep thought about this proposal. Hayashi said, "You know, Hitonis-san, I must ask out of pure curiosity, why is it that we are talking about supposed future wars? It seems a little suspicious that you bring up wars at a peace treaty." Hitonis growled inwardly at Hayashi Hyuga. However, in an instant the growl grew into a sinister smirk. He was going to enjoy taking some of those unmarked Hyuga children from them. His partner in crime, who sat on the opposite side of him, was smirking up a storm. "Well, Hitonis-kun, let's see your bread and butter at work." Hitonis said in a calm demeanor, "You bring up an interesting point in the matter of war talk and peace treaty. I brought this up because of a peace treaty that was broken a few years ago, when Takigakure attacked us. They used the Nanabai as leverage against us. We were able to defeat them but lost a lot of ninjas. We do not want the small innocent non-ninja countries around us to be destroyed." Hiruzen saw some valid points, but something didn't seem right. Why was it that his spies in Kumo were not able to tell him about the conflict with Taki? In fact, none of his countries knew other than Kumo and Taki. Hiruzen said, "Hitonis-san, it has occurred to me that no one has heard any incidents about Taki attacking Kumobakure. For the members of Taki to even summon Nanabai, many countries would be able to feel that power." Hitonis' eyes went wide for the briefest of seconds. This went unnoticed except for 4 people, Hayashi, Fugaku, Hiruzen, and Orochimaru. He said, "Well, Hokage Dano, they did not release the Nanabai but merely the Jinchuriki." Hiruzen could see what the man was implying and saw Orochi looking a tad bit angry at the implication. Orochi in his ever calm voice said, "So Hitonis-san, are you implying that a Jinchuriki is not a human? I mean, maybe one day your child might become a Jinchuriki. Would that mean that he or she is not a human? Would that mean that since your spawn is a Jinchuriki that makes you or wife a human being?" If not, then do not treat them like spawns. Hidonis was taken aback to this. He heard the laced irritation and anger in Orochi's voice. He had to watch himself or else the whole plan might go to hell. At Orochimaru's house, the ANBU squad was at the door. Inu said, "Cat, do you have any way of opening this door?" "I would do it the old-fashioned way, but it would be too much of a liability." Nico nodded at his way of thinking. She pulled something out of her hair. It looked like a regular hair clip, but when she touched the small butterfly icon on the clip, it changed into a key-like object. She put it in the keyhole. With a press of the butterfly icon, she unlocked it. Inu blinked as he asked sarcastically, "Do I even want to know what that is?" She smirked as she chirped, "It's a girl thing." Their captain just rolled his eyes. His keen sense of smell told him not to move just yet. He said, "Guys, do you smell that? It smells like there is a poisonous gas behind the door. Ryu, use your futon to clear out the poison gas. I'll kick the door open while you use your jutsu." Ryu nodded as he started to do 5 quick hands. Inu whispered, "Ready, get set now?" In an instant he kicked the door, releasing a purple and yellow gas. The others quickly jumped out of the way as Ryu said, "Futon, Kihaku, wind release, thin air." Unfortunately for Ryu, the gas got to him a split second before the move was used. Inu saw that the gas disappeared, but Ryu was on the ground. Inu cursed as he and his team circled around Ryu. Inu checked his pulse and saw a faint pulse. He said with an edge to his voice, "Nico, create a Kage Bushin and bring Ryu to the hospital ASAP. He has a low heartbeat and doesn't have oxygen going through." She nodded vigorously as her shadow cloned to Ryu to the hospital in a swirl of leaves. He sighed as he didn't like where this mission was going already. Karaso said, "Untecho, what's the plan action of action?" Karasasa had been in the ANBU for a few years and had earned his stripes. He became second in command of this squad by the request of Inu. He noticed that Inu stood a little straighter as Inu walked past him. He said in a serious voice, "We're going to investigate the house of Orochimaru." Orochimaru's basement was actually his lab. He broke his basement into 2 different sections. The first was nicely furnished with a fireplace, bed, and the works. The second side, however, was different. It was cold, dark gray, with a murky demeanor. Inu never seen anything like it. Upon further inspection, Inu saw vials of different shapes and colors, beakers, different high-tech machinery, even a stove. Nico whispered, "What the hell is this place?" Inu nodded with a grim look on his face. He said as they got in closer with fear going up their spines, "Nico-kan, I believe we are going to find out more about Orochimaru than we really want to. Nico, go east and look for anything that seems suspicious or of great importance. Karasu, you are to look west. I'm pretty sure he has files over there. When I used to shadow him, I noticed that he used to put the file to the right. I'm going to go straight. Guys, this is serious. We have already lost Ryu for the rest of the mission. This is the most dangerous part. Remember the rule, be alarmed, be armed. They both replied, "Hi." Nico and Karasu went there respectively as Inu walked forward. Inu, being honest with himself, was gravely afraid of what he might see. From what he had heard from ANBU member Saro, they found some labs that were absolutely disgusting. There were molding and decaying human bodies, half-eaten rats, even a human body with a tail. Inu had to stop there as he was getting sick. He stopped his train of thought only to look up. He took a step back and fell. He barely whispered, "Oh my Kami, no." There he was, Naruto Uzumaki, floating in a green-watered tube. A voice echoed off the wall, "So you are the one who opened the basement door and invaded his house." The treaty went well for both sides. Konoha was able to wiggle a few moves in which Kyumo would have to admit to and pay for the situation that happened with Kushina. In addition, they will send over 1/4 of their lightning jutsus and kenjutsus. Konoha would give up 1/16 amount of fire jutsus to Kyumo. Each side will come to the other's aid even in border patrol. All that needs to be done is Hidonis going back to the Raikage and him signing it or ratifying it. Right now Hidonis was at the parade of his and Kyumo's honor. Meanwhile his partner Orochimaru had more pressing matters. He was completing his part of the deal, getting a Hyuga. Orochi was smart. That was always known, but today he felt smarter than normal. He was invited to Hinata Hyuga's third birthday celebration. He saw the Akimichi, Nara, Yamanaka, Uchiha, Sarutobi, Inuzuka, and Aburame clan leaders and their immediate family. He also saw a few financially powerful civilians. He smirked as he watched the children play with each other and the adults conversing with each other with sake. Before the party started, he spiked the drinks with his special liquid he had been working on. This liquid is his genjutsu in a bottle. The drink, when mixed with alcohol, gives the drinker a sense of obliviousness. This would dim the Hyuga's 359-degree vision, while making the Uchiha Sharingan very cloudy. In addition, this concoction dimmed the buzzing Aburame bugs, while dimming the Inuzuka's senses. Oh, those poor people keep drinking without thinking about what's in the drink. Ooh, that rhymes. Well, in a few minutes, they'll be out of commission. The two Kagebushin should be able to do a switcheroo with the Hyuga princess. Yup, Orochimaru's plan was put into action as he went to chat with the leaders with his red fruit punch. Inu had finally freaked out. He saw Naruto floating in a tube and the echoing voice was really getting to him. He heard something slither towards him. It was an orange snake. It scared him as the snake was coming closer to him. Inu pulled a kunai out of his pocket and threw it at him. The kunai coming out of his hand was about 95 mph. However, right in front of his eyes, the orange snake snagged the kunai out of the air with his tail. The snake then flicked it into a wall as Inu's eyes became wider. Orenji looked deep into the eyes of Inu. The serious look of the orange snake sent chills through Inu's body. Orenji asked, "Now Anbu-san, I must ask, how did you get in here? Better yet, why are you even here?" Inu was scared out of his wits. Not many people knows that Inu hates snakes. When he was about 5, a poisonous snake bit him and he was hospitalized for 3 months. He asked, "What are you doing here, snake team?" The orange snake simple snapped his tail in a whip-like snap. He said as he peered into Inu's eyes, "You know, Anbu-san, it is not polite to not tell someone your name. That is entirely my fault, however, for which I am sorry. My name, Anbu-san, is Orenji." I can sense the fear of snakes rolling off like a rock on a hill. "Since you are a scared chicken, I'm going to ask you again. Why are you here and how did you get in here?" Inu tried to muster up some courage after that chicken insult. "Well, Orenji-san, I'm here to put your master in jail for what he has done to many people, especially Naruto-kun." Orenji chuckled at the silver-head ANBU member. He said, "You know, Anbu-san, I would hope that you never get into politics. You are straightforward but a little too straight. But that is irrelevant at this point in time. So Anbu-san, do you honestly think you can go and get past me without dying?" Inu gulped as he nodded. Orenji smirked as he said, "Good. Even though I can basically eat the fear you emitting, I can see some strength coming through. Now as to what I can do to you or for you is a huge question. Sad to say, my supposed master has done some horrific things and more than likely tarnished the Hebe name." The snake slithered away from the ANBU member and went to the tube containing the Jinchuriki. Inu watched in awe as the snake used his tail to put in the password to release the green water. As soon as the liquid was out, Orenji opened the hatchet, letting Naruto fall onto his back. He slithered towards the ANBU member and gave him the boy. He said, "Since you are here to catch and whatnot, I want you to get Naruto out here and give him to the Hokage. The boy should not see his Tusan being taken away. Now go, I need to clean up." Inu nodded as he carried Naruto in a fireman carry. As he started to go, Orenji said, "Oh, and by the way, you are going to have to throw that kunai a lot quicker to hit me." Inu decided not to say anything as the other two members joined him and left. Orenji sighed as he closed the door. He muttered to himself, "I better play unconscious or Orochi might not believe me." With that, the orange snake slithered to where the open tube was and turned over. Hitonis was enjoying himself. This parade with all of the yellow and black, representing Kumo, confetti coming down out of the buildings and with the shouting of his name almost made him feel bad for what he was going to do. Almost. He knew what the fate of those Hyugas was going to be. He didn't care so much as he only cared about was Kumo and its survival. So if it meant that one or two people had to suffer, then so be it. He liked his lips as he saw the rakish hat on top of his head. The parade was ending as it was almost time for him to leave to Kumo. He smirked as he would have something to bring back with him. He said to the crowd of thousands of people and with the Hokage next to him, civilians of Kanahagakure no Sato, it has been an honor to be here with you to hopefully celebrate a bond between two of the most powerful villages of all time. Hopefully in the near future the will of fire and the heart of lightning will be fighting as one. I, as a representative of Kumogakure, am proud of what we were able to accomplish today, embarking on a new future. Your hospitality knows no bounds, as this parade shows me. This parade will go down in history of the day that my and now your brothers and sisters in Kumo will hold hands together as one. Thank you, Konoha, for this day. The crowd erupted as they shouted his name and Kumo's. Hiruzen clapped and showed outwardly happiness. Inside, however, was much different tune. No wonder Kumo sent this slime as here. He has a tongue made of silver. You could tell that he was all bullshit, but the way he talks makes him seem like he is the fucking six paths. The faster he gets the hell out of Konoha, the better, before I start to smell controversy. The Hokage said, "Citizens of Konoha, it is time for our brother, as he affectionately calls himself, to leave for Kumogakure to agree to finalize and or ratify it. For this peace treaty to be finalized, he needs to go quickly. Let's give him a big Konoha send-off." The crowd erupted again as the ANBU escorted the waving Hitonas to the gate. Hitonas smirked inwardly. It's almost time for my prize. It's almost too easy. In a moment Hitonas was in front of the gate with the Hokage and 4 ANBU in front of him. The Hokage asked, "Are you sure you want to go alone? It can be extremely dangerous." Hitonas waved his hands. He said, "Hokage-sama, you and the whole fire country has given me such an amazing event with even better hospitality. I could not ask for much more. I want to wish you a great deal of prosperity, and that one day the two flints can create not only lightning but also a fire." He bowed to the Hokage as he left. The Hokage also bowed at him. He thought as he saw Hitonas jump tree to tree, something is not right. I don't know what it is, but it is bad. I can feel it. While Orochi was conversing with the adults and parents, his shadow clones were completing their mission. They were on top of the roof surveying the children. He noticed that the Hyuga princess was a tad bit drowsy. More like exhausted, one clone thought as he remembered that was how Naruto was. He had to shake his head from those thoughts as it was will breaking. The clone transformed into an exact replica of Hinata. He said to the other clone, "Get the chloroform ready." When he saw the other clone pull out the rag, he said himself as he said, "Ready or not, here I come." 3-year-olds play like 2-year-olds but with more vocabulary. Right now Kiba, Choji, Shikamaru, Aino, and the birthday girl Hinata were playing tag. Her older cousin was designated to watch her. Basically all he had to do was tell Hayashi-sama or Hien. As he watched them play, he could not help but think about his cousin that was 4 years his senior. Niji hated how much cooler his cousin was. He knew that his cousin was the heir apparent of the Hyugas. He huffed as he knew that he could beat him, one day. During his rant in his head, Orochi was able to do the switcheroo on Hinata. Hinata looked around to see where she was. She saw a man come behind her only to have a rag over her mouth. "Shoo. It's okay, Hinata-san. You will be asleep really soon." Soon enough the Hyuga princess was asleep. He snatched her up in a knapsack and started jumping building to building. He smirked as he said to himself, "Everything is going according to plan." Oh, how wrong he was. Hien was outside in the luxurious backyard that was hosting his sister's birthday party. Today, Hien was able to get a day off because of the festivities. He smirked as he looked and acted just like Hayashi. He was considered the mini Hayashi. He was definitely the apple of the Hyuga leader. He adjusted his brand new forehead protector. Today, while he picked up his sister's birthday present, he also picked up his new protector with the Hyuga symbol on the sides of the protector. He looked over to see his 4-year cousin brood as the kids played tag. He liked Niji out of all of his brethren. He saw a spark in him that told him that he would be great. But if he didn't get over his jealousy, he would never be able to do anything. Because he would be the heir, he decided that he would brand Neji. Nope, he wanted him to be his second in command. He walked over to his future second in command. He said, buck up Neji-kun. I mean, you're acting like you're 13. Why don't we play tag with them? It looks like a lot of fun. Neji looked at the good-natured boy with angry eyes. I want to train, but I have to be guarding these kids. Neji pouted as Hien patted the boy on the head, much to Neji's disdain. Hien said, "You're right, that's why I'm here. I'll help you watch them because after all I am a super powerful ninja at the age of 8. Neji rolled his eyes as Hien reminded him, every day that he sees him. Neji grumbled, okay, but you will help me to throw kunais. Hien laughed as he patted Neji's head. He replied, okay Neji-kun, I'll teach you. As they watched the kids play tag, Hien was showing Neji how to properly throw a kunai. Neji-kun, when you throw a kunai you do not want to throw it like a ball. You want it to be thrown as if it was an arrow coming out of a crossbow. The objective in each case is for the point to stick into the target with a sufficient amount of force. For this to be successful, accuracy, distance, number of rotations and placement of the body all must be taken into account. If the thrower uses a spin technique, the kunai will rotate during flight. This means that the thrower, assuming he is throwing the same way every time, must either choose a specific distance for each type of throw or, more practically, make slight adjustments to placement of the kunai in the hand as well as angle of release and rotation of the wrist. Variations in throw technique can allow great accuracy and range. Throwers may also need to adjust for throwing off-center, around corners, and while running. Neji blinked at his cousin. He was considered a genius not only because of the power he contained but because of his mind. Neji grumbled, I'm only 4 and you expect me to know this? I barely know half of what those words mean. Hien smirked as he patted Neji's head. He whispered into his cousin's ear, you're not supposed to. That is why I'm going to show you. Neji brightened some but not too much as his cousin took him a few meters away from the kids. He said, now watch as I throw it. In an instant he threw the kunai. The kunai rotated slowly as it went into the wall. Neji's eyes were wide open. He was giddy as he thought this was easy, especially how fluid and smooth Hien threw it. Hien said, okay Neji, your turn. Neji nodded as he aimed to a specific target. With all his might he threw a kunai. It whizzed through the air. It came towards its target. Kunais do not have a name for a target as it went straight towards Hinata. Hien could only watch in horror as the blade came towards his running sister. Boom! Hien opened his eyes to see the kunai buried deep into the training dummy with Hinata in full deflection mode. It was as if she had been in a war. Hien's eyes went wide, as he thought, what the hell? That can't possibly be Hina-chan. He came over to his sister to check up on her as Neji on the ground crying his eyes out at the thought that he killed his little cousin. Hien asked her, hey Hina, are you alright? You were awesome in deflecting that kunai. Let me check something. Hinata nodded as she watched Hien intently. Shit, I messed up. It's a reflection. What was I supposed to do? Hopefully he didn't think I'm a fake. As he was checking her body to see if anything was wrong, he slowly pulled out a kunai. Poof! Hinata burst into smoke after Hien jabbed her. Hien cursed loudly as he told Neji, Neji get to San, Hinata is gone. I'm going to find her and save her. Neji quickly ran to get Hayashi as Hien activated the Byakugan. He was able to get her signature about 75 meters away. He had to hurry. With 3 kunais packed, he was ready to go save his sister. Orochimaru finally got the memories of his dead clone and he was furious. Why does everything fail because of children? He had everything packed into a scroll and it was almost time to leave. He excused himself from everyone and went to the bathroom. He simply had to go to someone's house. Someone named Haruno as he had a special parting gift for her. Hien raced towards the signature that had his sister with him or her. Don't worry Hina-chan. I'm coming to get you. as he rushed as fast as an 8-year could go. He was finally able to get close enough to the signature to see the transaction occur. The man was just outside of Konoha with another man. When he took a closer look, something sent chills up and down his spine. He saw his sister being traded from the hands of the Hibi Sannin, Orochimaru, to the hands of the representative of Kumo, Hidonis. Shit. This is bad, real bad. Kami, keep me safe as I'm about to take on a Jonin and a Kage. This is for you, Hina-chan. With that, he got closer. His heart started to beat faster as this could possibly be his last mission. He threw his kunai and hoped for the best. Orochimaru's clone was completing the transaction. He said, "Well, Hidonis, I hope your plan works out well. You know, after all, she isn't some nobody. She is the princess of the Hyuga clan and the only daughter of Hayashi. There will be backlash, but that is out of my hands. I washed my hands clean of this whole ideal." What Hidonis did not know was that the clone felt the boy's presence. He knew from the moment that he left that someone would be tracking him. He just didn't expect it to be an 8-year-old. This should be an interesting tale. A brother who would risk everything to get his sister back versus a man who would risk everything to save his village. Too bad I won't be able to see it. Once it came into his mind, a kunai was darting towards him. He didn't move, however, as he wanted the smoke to figuratively and physically blow up in Hitona's face. The kunai hit him in the back. He blew up into a plume of smoke. What the hell is going on, Orochimaru? Hitonis shouted as the smoke filled the perimeter. Because of the Byakugan activated, Hien was able to see where his sister was. He quickly raced into the smoke. The smoke cleared and the knapsack was gone. The Kumo ninja screamed as he was duped. He started to throw lightning strikes all over the place, scorching the trees around him. His eyes were blood red, with veins popping out from his neck all the way down to his toes. He shouted, "Where are you, Orochimaru? I'm going to kill you. Damn it, damn it, damn it." Hien, although scared, knew that he nor Hinata survive if they hid. He whispered in his sister's ear, "Hina-chan, I need you be very quiet. Big brother is going to take care of you." He put her in a hollow tree trunk. He sighed as he was going to face this monster. As Hitonis fumed and threw lightning bolts. Soon he saw a shadowy figure come from behind a tree. The figure said, "I'm no Orochimaru, but I can still kick your ass." Hitonis saw red as he threw a lightning bolt at the boy. The boy used a Kwamiri to replace himself with a log courtesy of Hitonis. "Looking for me, I presume?" Hitonis looked behind him to see a fist in his face. The fist sent him back a few steps. When he opened his eyes, he saw a powerful kick coming towards his temple. Hitonis was able to recover and blocked the kick. He grabbed Hien's leg and spun him around. He threw him into a tree. Hien hit the ground with an oof. Hitonis sneered, "You little twerp. I'll make sure you will be nothing but ashes on the ground. Meet your maker, you bitch." Raitan, Denku no Bufu, lightning style, gale of lightning. He created an unstable ball of black, blue, and yellow energy. It crackled as it grew. Once it grew to the right size, he threw at the panting, almost unconscious Hien. The lightning gale came at him with increasing speed. Hien saw the bright light and quickly did a one more Kawarimi. This time, however, it was with the Kumo Jonin. The man was so caught off guard that he was hit full on, blowing him into a tree. The electricity sent voltage coursing through his veins. The young Hyuga heir got into position to finish him off. He said, "It's over, you arrogant bastard." Hakurokujuyansho, 8 trigram, 64 palms, 0.2 palms, 2 strikes in his right arm, 4 palms, 2 strikes in his left arm, 2 on his left shoulder, 8 palms, 2 on his right shoulder, 3 on his right thigh, and 3 on his legs, 16 palms, 3 on his left thigh, 3 on his legs, 1 on both of his knees, 2 on his left biceps, 2 on left triceps, and 2 on his left kidney, 32 palms, 2 on the right biceps, 2 on the triceps, 4 more on the left biceps, 4 on the biceps, 2 on his right kidney, 6 at the ribs on the right, 6 at the ribs on the left side, 4 on the right pec, and 4 on the left pec, 64 palms. 4 on the clavicle, 5 on his right wrist, 5 on his left wrist, 10 on his left foot, 10 on the right foot, 3 on his right thumb, 2 on his right pointer finger, 3 on his right middle finger, 2 on his right, 2 on his right pinky finger, 3 on his left thumb, 2 on his left pointer, 3 on his left middle finger, 2 on his left ring finger, 2 on his left pinky finger, 2 at the sternum, 1 at liver, 1 at the pancreas, 1 at the head and 1 at the stomach. Hitonis was coughing up blood as his thoughts about being beat by an 8-year. It did not bode well for him, as he would be the latest laughingstock with Konoha and Kumo. By his pure will he was able to get up. He felt 4, possibly 5 chakra signatures. He knew that it was pointless in completing the mission, but this boy will die. Hien was looking worse off. When he struck Hitonis, the voltage went through his body. It was like barbed wire that ripped his skin and chakra off. He panted as his chakra level was low because of the voltage being siphoned. He knew he didn't have too much time left. He said as he coughed up blood, "How are you still standing? You should be finished by now." The man chuckled as the others dropped down in front of them. The 5 he saw were Hayashi Hyuga, Hisashi Hyuga, Harini Hyuga, Ko Hyuga, and Hohito Hyuga. He noticed that their bodies were weak and barely responsive. He said, "It's nice to see all you are here. I know I'm going to die, but I'm taking one of you with me." Before anyone could move, Hitonis said, "Raiton, Shirai, lightning release, lightning strike." Instead of pointing his lightning strike at Hien, he pointed it at the tree that contained Hinata. No one could move as the paralysis that was added along with the concoction was still in effect. Hitonis fell down dead. It happened in slow motion. Hien ran towards his sister. He was slowly losing consciousness as he ran. He knew this was his last chance to save his sister. "I'm sorry, Hina-chan. I'm sorry that I won't be able to see you grow up. You might remember me, but I want you to know I love you, sis, and be the best Hyuga leader you can be." In a moment before the lightning struck the tree, Hien committed the ultimate sacrifice by doing one last kawarimi. Boom! Hien fell down to the ground. The lightning strike went right through his heart, rupturing it completely. His chakra was severed as it cut each chakra flow from the Tenketsu point. His death was instant, but his sacrifice will live on as Hinata was safe and sound in front of Hayashi. "No! Hien-kun. My Sochi is gone. My Sochi is gone." Harini fell to the ground as she screamed her lungs out over the death of her son. She started to feel the baby's pain. Hayashi couldn't move. His body felt numb as he saw his wife and daughter cry, and his son, his only son, on the floor dead. Only one tear fell down his cheek. The old arrogant Hayashi had also died that day. There is only one Hayashi now, Hayashi the Stoic. Hiruzen was back into the Hokage Tower. To be quite honest, he had a sense of foreboding. As he sighed and lit his pipe, he heard and saw a crack appear on his pipe. "This is not good at all. Hokage-sama. We have a problem." Hiruzen looked at the panting Inu rushing through the door. He straightened himself up as he listened intently to the man. His eyes told Inu he better start talking. "Hokage-sama, Orochimaru was in fact the one experimenting in those illegal labs." Hiruzen was thinking a mile a minute. He said, "What proof do you have of such a claim? If we are going to bust him, I need proof." Instantly, documents in manila folders were on his desk. He glanced through each file as the sickness in his stomach grew with each passing second. Inu said with a grim voice, "Hokage-sama, it seems like he also experimented on Naruto Uzumaki." This made the Sandaime Hokage to look up at the ANBU member. He could not believe it. How could this monster do this under his nose? He slammed his fists on the desk, breaking it. He started to breathe hard as he spoke. "Inu, where is Naruto?" Inu replied quickly, "He is in the hospital with Nico and Karasu watching him." Hiruzen nodded as he said with anger flowing through him, "That son of a bitch of a father is going to pay. We're going to make rounds. Is there anything else you need to tell me?" Inu nodded as he said, "Hokage-sama, we also found an operation he created. This operation is to kidnap the Hyuga Prin-. Before he could finish, another ANBU went through the window. Hokage-sama, the representative of Kyumo is dead. The Hokage got up with authority. He said, "What the hell happened?" The ANBU explained everything caused such great pain into his chest. With a steel resolve, he said, "Inu, round up all available ANBU. We are about to catch a snake." It took a few minutes to gather 5 ANBU squads. Hiruzen spread them out around the perimeter of the house. He picked 3 ANBU members including Inu to come in with him. They were ready. Saya Haruno had a bad feeling. She had the day off for she could be with her daughter, Sakura Haruno. She had been slightly neglectful to her daughter. It wasn't because she hated her daughter or anything like that. It was simply because being an ANBU commander was keeping her away almost 20 hours per day. She sighed as she sat on the chair in the living room and was doing a puzzle with Sakura. She looked at the picture of her and her late husband. She wanted to be a housewife where she could be with Sakura every day while her husband worked. Her husband was an ex-jonin who became famous for his amazing banking skills. He was one of the reasons that Konoha had one of if not the biggest financial surplus in the world. His interconnections with the other businesses strengthened the shinobis and civilians. He made some union agreements that stopped a civil war in Konoha. Oh, how she missed him. He was killed in the Kyubi attack when he saved some of the merchants from the fires. He was killed when a blazing support beam fell on his back. The blazes were too strong for any of the merchants to save him. She shook her head as a tear went down her face and hid a piece of the puzzle. Sakura looked up at her mother. She had an inquisitive look on her small face as she said, "Ka-san, why are you crying?" Saya chuckled as she wiped her eyes. Sakura cocked her head to the side as her mother started to speak. "I'm not crying, honey. I just had some sweat coming down." Sakura asked, "Ka-san, does sweat come out of your eyes?" Saya laughed as she rubbed the top of Sakura's head. Oh, how she loved her smart daughter. She saw a shadow land on her cherry blossom tree in front of her house. In a moment her eyes went stone cold before going soft. She said, "Sakura-chan, I want you to go to your room. I'll be up there to play a game with you." Sakura frowned slightly. She nodded as she ran upstairs. "Okay, Ka-san." When Sakura left, the shadow promptly came in front of Saya. Saya's eyes became hard and cold. It was almost like steel. She said as the ANBU member fell to one knee, "Sorry, and I know that I do not like to bring work home, especially when I finally have a chance to be with my daughter for a full day for the first time in 18 months. So this better be fucking important." Sara nodded as he spoke. "I know, Saya-sama, and I am so sorry to interrupt your time with your beautiful daughter. This is really important. Your suspicions were correct. Orochimaru was the owner of the illegal labs. There is more, he is the accomplice to the failed attempt of kidnapping of the Hyuga princess. There is more. It seems like Orochimaru experimented on the Kyubi Jinchuriki." Saya's eyes went wide at this. She could believe that she was right about Orochimaru was the owner. After all, he was a scientist who had privileges, so he would be a prime target. But with what happened with the Hyuga princess caught her in a loop. What shocked her the most was the fact that he experimented on Naruto. There were no visible signs of abuse or anything. She said, "This is bad. I see that you probably told the Hokage or the Hokage knows. I have 2 questions for you. What did he say that he wanted done? The second is, how was Hitonis able to even get that close to the Hyuga princess? The Hyugas have the best security system with their Byakugan." "Well, I could answer that, you little wench." Sara was not quick enough to move when a kunai sliced his neck. Blood started to spurt out as he fell to the ground. Sada looked in horror as the very last person she wanted to was standing in front of her, Orochimaru. He had a wide smirk on his face as he twirled the kunai in his hand. He said, "Well, Haruno-san, it is a lovely day, isn't it? I mean, you have the day off to spend time with your precious daughter, but here we are with dead body on the floor and an innocent kid upstairs. How things can turn so quickly." She growled as he continued to speak, "Well, Haruno-san, we both know you move you die and you kid will be dead at best. Now you wanted to know how was anyone able to crack the guarded treasure chest, also known as the princess. Well, what would one say if one spiked the drinks? It's easy when you are at a birthday party you voluntarily didn't go to. You should know at the party, I was going to let you be reacquainted with your husband. Pity. She growled as she slightly moved her hand to press the button. She slowly got up as she spoke in a calm voice. You know, Orochimaru, you think that you can come to my house, my home, and threaten my family. I'll be damned to let you live. She threw a kunai at the Hibi-Sannin. He easily deflected it only to be acquainted with her cocked fist. Orochimaru was sent back only to feel someone behind him. Saya did a spin kick into his back only to him disappear. Orochimaru landed behind her and kicked her into a wall. Orochi smirked as he taunted her, I guess it is true. The harder a girl hits a boy the more she loves him. She growled as she took her pink sword out of the sheath that hung on the wall. She got into a defensive position as she spoke. Oh yeah, Orochimaru, I'm absolutely crazy, almost stalker type about you. Get over yourself. Orochi pulled a kunai out and got into an offensive stance. He rushed to her at great speed as his kunai and her pink sword collided. He said, I am over myself but I want to be under you. Orochimaru was trying to push her into a wall. She sneered as she pushed the man back with her brute strength. Orochimaru was having a hard time pushing her back as her blade was sharper than anything he has ever seen. She was cutting the kunai clean through. He knew he had to end this quickly. He used his tongue to pull out a small canister out of his pocket. Her eyes went wide at this and kicked him in the solar plex. This only helped him as he released the smokescreen. She coughed and closed her eyes. She started to swing her sword, literally cutting the air. She screamed, Where are you, Orochimaru? Show yourself, you sniveling snake. It did not help her as he disappeared into thin crisp air. Or so she thought. Looking for me, beautiful? Orochimaru whispered into her ear. Her eyes went wide as Orochi held onto her. He said as she struggled to break free, I told you from the beginning, if you moved, you died. Well, my dear, the game is over. Her eyes went wide as she felt Orochimaru sink his elongated canine teeth. She screamed as she tried and struggled to get Orochimaru off. She tried to fight, she really did. Saya felt her body starting to go weak. The feelings in her arms and legs started to go. She had only one thought, I got to fight for Sakura. I can't let her be without a father and a mother. I've got to fight. She poured chakra into her blade, used the last of her strength to do a reversal and slashed the Hibi-Sannin with her pink blade. Orochimaru was sent back to a wall with a thud. He had a huge slash mark over his chest. His eyes were wide in horror as he saw his blood on her blade. The sword was a special weapon that has been with the Haruno family for years. If a Haruno poured their chakra into the weapon and got the blood of their opponent, the opponent could not kill that person or anyone in their family. It only works once per person. Once that Haruno dies, the curse would also die as well. As she was slipping from consciousness and bleeding from her mouth, she chuckled. She said with her last breath, I beat the game, Orochimaru. Orochimaru screamed as he once again was tricked by this Haruno bitch. He had to hurry and get out of here. He looked over to see Saru's dead body and smirked. How useful you are dead, Saru. Orochimaru said as he took Saru's armor. He thought, this might not be a bad thing after all. I'm going to get away with murder. Literally. After he was fully garbed in Saru's armor, he saw shadows going to his house. This should be interesting. Orochimaru was cornered. Yes, the Hibi-Sannin was cornered by Sandaime Hokage and 3 ANBU members. Hokage's face was that of rage as he put the bow staff at the Hibi-Sannin's neck. Orochimaru, you are under arrest for treason against Konohagakure no Sato, the attempted kidnap and murder of Hien Hyuga, the murder of Hariko Yamanaka, the attempted kidnapping of Hinata Hyuga, an accessory to the murder of Hisashi Hyuga, and the experimentation of Naruto Uzumaki. Orochimaru chuckled at this. My Sarutobi-sensei, it is great to see you. I mean, you barely come around to visit anymore. But now you bring not one, not two but 5 different ANBU squads. I must have done some very bad. But I've done something worse. I know that I won't be forgiven for what happened to Naruto, but I have long since condemned myself. I must ask Sensei, how does it feel to know that if you had paid an ounce of attention to the boy this could have been prevented? Hiruzen growled as pushed the boy closer onto his neck. Orochimaru was very calm, that scared the Hokage. He continued with a hiss, Sarutobi-sensei, your plans to make me pay are a little late. I've been gone for over an hour. After all you taught me, how can I hit something that is not even there? Before the Hokage could move, Orochimaru disappeared into smoke. Son of a bitch. He was never here. Alright, we got go find him, the Hokage said with authority. An ANBU barraged into the house. Hiruzen said, Sara, you better have a magical fucking reason to be here. I'm in no mood to play around. So you better start talking or you will be my next target. Sara nodded as he spoke. Hokage-sama, my squad was able to find the presence of Orochimaru. From what they told me, he was spotted southeast going toward Iron Country. I'm going to go assist them and bring him into justice. Hiruzen sighed in relief. They were going to get this bastard once and for all. He took a seat into one of the chairs in Orochimaru's house. He said, okay, Sara pursued him with caution. Inu, you are the overall leader of this operation. You are to gather everything here and document it. I want everything deeply searched. I do not want a single thing overlooked. Do you understand me? Inu nodded as he saw his leader leave towards the tower. Hiruzen finally reached the tower again. The mental strain has definitely put more wrinkles on his old face. He didn't know what else could go wrong, but had a feeling it was not the end. He took a puff of his pipe as he thought about the backlash of today's events. Damn, how could we let Orochimaru waltz out of here without even noticing? He couldn't have gotten that far without so much as a hello Orochimaru or a how is Naruto-kun doing today? For that matter, why didn't I see what was going with Naruto-kun quick enough? The boy has suffered enough and I just watched with obliviousness. The son of a bitch is a great manipulator. I'll give him that. I honestly don't know how he got out. We were on lockdown. Someone better tell me something. At that moment an ANBU member appeared. He went on one knee as he spoke in a grim tone, Hokage-sama, we have discovered how Orochimaru left. This made the Hokage listen more intently as this had been boggling his mind for the past 3 hours. He was able to get away because you unintentionally allowed him to. Sir, we found ANBU Commander Haruno unconscious and severely damaged and ANBU Captain Sara dead at the Haruno's residence. Hiruzen's eyes went wide. If one were to look closely, they could see more wrinkles come onto his face as a tear fell down. No. My son can't be dead. No. Not like this. How many more people have to die because of this? How am I going to tell my daughter-in-law, my very pregnant daughter-in-law? I can't lose another son. This is going to be stopped right now. Hiruzen said, Ryo, get the Shinobi Council here now. This is an emergency meeting. I expect him to be here in 2 minutes. Go! Ryo nodded and disappeared, leaving the Hokage to weep for his oldest son. It took all about a minute for everyone to be seated. Sarutobi did not like what he saw as the members of the Shinobi Council were still drugged. He frowned as he spoke, Good afternoon, Council. I am seriously disappointed with everything that happened on this day. I'm going to brief you on everything that has happened. First and foremost, our defenses have been compromised. With that in mind, we have lost one of our genin prospects in Heian Hyuga. I know that people die every day, but how the fuck was he able to leave the gates without anyone checking him? I don't damn who you are, you must be checked by a guarding shinobi. I can only blame mainly the Uchiha for this. That sobered Fugaku right up. He exclaimed, Hokage-sama, how is our fault for this? He was already angry for having to be here. Now he was downright furious. However, the look the Hokage gave him told him he didn't give a shit. Hiruzen said calmly, Yes, Fugaku, I blame this on the Uchiha. If the Uchiha did their jobs, then Heian would not have gotten out of Konoha's walls. In addition, if one of you would have cared to look into Orochimaru's bag, just maybe you would have noticed a human being in the bag. Explain that, then I'll say you're innocent. However, I have more important things to address. Now I've decided to beef up the defenses. Because of the fact that the Hyuga and the Uchiha have not done its job correctly by protecting Konoha, some you will deploy 10 members of your clan, with each man or woman having 3 dogs effectively tomorrow. Hokage-sama, this is outrageous. We were promised to have control of the police and patrol force. Fugaku raged. This ongoing problem has been going on since the Kyuubi attack, when Hiruzen added the Hyuga to the patrol. To add to this, Hiruzen put the Hyuga's brother as the second commander. Hiruzen looked at the Uchiha leader with cold as steel eyes. He had enough of the Uchiha bringing up what his predecessor, Tobirama, said and did. He was the Hokage and he wasn't going to be bossed around by the descendant of Izumo Uchiha and a dead guy. He said, "Yes, Fugaku, I know what you were promised. But have you ever thought that if you kept your promise and actually kept Konoha safe, then we will keep our part? A promise is a two-way street. Now I'm tired of you keep bringing this up. Let me explain something to you, Uchiha. I am Hiruzen Sarutobi and I am the current Hokage. I am not Tobirama who made that promise to you. I haven't kept my sensei's wishes. I have kept it because of the respect of my sensei. If you bring it one more time, we will see what police force you will be running. So just be quiet and do your job. If you have a problem with it, then you can leave right now. I do not have time to hear you whining. Do you understand?" Fugaku was bleeding from his palms as he squeezed his hand into a ball. He had to control himself from leaping over and killing the Hokage. He knew he had to keep a tight lip for now. "Soon I'll make sure you are 6 feet under." Fugaku replied, "I apologize for my actions, Hokage-sama. I will learn to speak in place." Hiruzen looked at him with a glare. He said, "Don't let it happen again." Now to continue the meeting, Orochimaru has created a huge mess. He has been charged with the murder of my son, also known ANBU Captain Saro, severely injured ANBU Commander Saya Haruno, attempted the kidnapping of Hinata Hyuga, the accomplice of the murder of Hien, the supposed experimenting on Yamanaka, and the definite experimenting of Naruto Uzumaki. They were shocked by the charges against the Hibi Sannin. The last one hit hard for most of them. Naruto had been around their kids. He played with them, ate with them, he was part of some of their families. To hear that he had been experimented on is disturbing to say the least. There were no scars or any indication of it. Hiruzen continued, "From your faces I see the last one hit hard. Yes, Naruto-kun has been experimented on. The problem is we don't know what he did to Naruto. This has brought some rules and guidelines that will be dealt with when it comes to Naruto-kun. These guidelines are to be enforced immediately. The first is to ensure that no one else uses him for their own personal gain. No one, and I mean no one, shall adopt Naruto." There was verbal outrage from everyone except Fugaku. Fugaku just really wanted the boy dead. When he becomes Hokage, the boy would be a tool that would be under the Sharingan's control. He inwardly smiled as he thought about his rule. Hiruzen said after everyone calmed down, "I know how tough this is, but it had to be done. The second is that since we do not know how much Orochimaru has done, we must assume Naruto is a sleeper cell that is hell-bent on destroying Konoha. In this case, we are going to seal his memories and try to wipe them clear. Inoichi, after this meeting we are going to seal them." The council as a collective group sighed. Hiruzen said, "The final guideline is that he will not know about Orochimaru." The Hokage sent for Inoichi to come to Naruto's hospital bed. It was not the first time that Hiruzen requested that Inoichi to help with a patient in the hospital. The tall man was confused as to why he was here. "Hokage-sama, what is the point of me being here? I mean, I could be drawing information from Hitona's brain before it dies." The Hokage looked tired. The job was getting to him as more dire events keep occurring. He said, "Inoichi, he is a bomb waiting to explode. He has just lost his father and we don't know what Orochimaru had taught him. What I need you to do is seal his memories once and for all." Orochimaru had finally made it to the secret Akatsuki base. He sighed as he kept a picture of Naruto in his pocket right next to Ophelia. He did the hand sign that opened this cave-like. This is interesting. In this place was a huge statue. The statue is a giant, humanoid entity with only its upper torso and arms visible. Its back has a number of spike-like protrusions. The statue is blindfolded. As he looked on, a being appeared behind him. Orochimaru could not see his face but felt his aura. The man smirked as he spoke, "Welcome Orochimaru, it is great that you have made it here." Orochimaru replied, "It is great to be here. Is there anything you want me to do right now, Leader-sama?" The man walked past him as he walked to the statue and touched it. Once he touched it, 9 spiritual beings that took the shape of dragons circled the man. In a moment the dragons circled his hands. In an instant he crushed them, causing a purple light to glow in his hand. Orochimaru watched in fascination as the man opened his hand. In his hand was a ring with a purple gem with the kanji viper on it. The man said, "Orochimaru, you were asked to join because of your mind and ninjutsu talents. Your responsibility is to make us better using science and chakra. You will be called on to capture a Jinchuriki. You should know one more thing." Orochi was puzzled at this but complied, "What is Leader-sama?" The leader smirked as the ring glided itself to Orochi's ring hand. He said with a certain satisfaction, "Orochimaru, you are not the only Sannin to have joined our ranks. Thank you for watching this video. Go support the original author.